You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is June the 12th, 2018. With you today is myself, Carl, and a very special guest with us today. We are honored to have with us the always wonderful Joel. Welcome back to the show, Joel.
Well, thanks. Do you like regularly have several takes to get this show going, or I don't know?
Yeah, I guess as a not a regular on the show, you wouldn't know how many takes it takes. Usually at least 2 or 3.
We've been gone for like 1 week.
2 out of the last 3, my friend. I've missed you.
Only one of those was probably my fault.
Only half. 50%'s a pass, I guess.
Yeah. A lot's happened since then. Yeah,
we have, I guess, the biggest of things. A Stanley Cup champion has been crowned.
It's true. How do you feel? You happy the Knights lost? You sad the Knights lost?
Me and you both know that I don't. It's not that the Knights lost. It's the fact that the Caps won that has me in such a chipper mood.
Oh, I'm happy. I hated the Knights. I was so tired of them.
I wasn't a fan of the Knights, but it was more of a vote for the Caps than a vote against the Knights. I'm happy the Caps have won.
So
it feels good.
It's kind of funny. I hated Ovechkin for the longest time. I was not and it's only been the last 3 or 4 years, I think. I don't know, maybe it's less than that. But I've definitely come around. And then if I knew that Ovechkin was going to go on arguably one of the craziest athlete binges of a lifetime since winning, I think the biggest thing is that the hockey world has not known what they've been missing for the I feel like the Caps should win every year now if this is what we're going to get.
Yeah, I don't know if he can repeat this. I don't physically, I'm not sure he can repeat this tour de force.
He would be dead.
Yeah.
He'd be dead next year. You can't do this back-to-back years.
Yeah. You think that the rigors of a full playoff run plus a regular season and then that short off season are bad. You try putting yourself through this. It's been what, under a week? It's what, a 4 or 5 day bender for Ovi?
There has literally there's literally an Ovi watch. There is someone with him all the time to make sure he's still alive.
Yeah, he is having a good time. They had the parade today, so we'll see when. I don't know when he actually has to give up the cup, because everyone gets their day with the cup. Not Ovi. He's had this entire week.
He has done a lot. Did you see the picture of him? Apparently, he just held the cup above his head for 10 minutes at the baseball game.
Yeah,
just waiting for
play.
Just waiting for someone to put the camera on him. He just held it up.
Yeah,
I was like, this is amazing. So, we buried the lead a little here on this though, because I believe I won the bracket.
You came in a solid 3rd place.
I thought I was going to win. I was pretty sure. I had the Caps at the beginning. I had more faith in the Caps. I was a bigger Caps fan entering the playoffs than Carl was.
Yeah, the fact is, you did have the Caps winning. You lost 2nd place, went to our friend Rod from the Listening Party podcast. He also had the Caps winning. And someone who has yet to tell us who they are, Mark, won it.
But he didn't have the Caps winning, though, right?
No, he had the Knights and the Caps in the finals, with the Knights winning it all. Enough points for him to take home the title.
The thing that how do you feel about that? Obviously, I have a reason why I think he shouldn't have won.
Right, because you wish to finish 2nd.
I would rather, don't you think, I feel like you have to at least get the winner right to win the bracket.
Well, I think, no. Well, how do I feel about this? I wouldn't be opposed to something like that. I wouldn't be opposed to, like, you have to have the winner to win it all. Especially in an NHL-style bracket where there's only 16. March Madness, a little iffier, right? Like, but I feel like every bracket group has someone who wins it all.
Yeah, but, like, it's just... So, like, and obviously, like, this guy, so Mark let us know we have a prize, right?
Yeah, we've got a prize for Mark if he lets us know who he is. We have no idea and no way to contact him because NHL.com doesn't, like, let you message people.
So you have to let us know who you are and prove that you are Mark. Because, like, I already know there's a couple of you listening, Tiny, that are just going to be like, I'm Mark. Yeah. I won. No,
you better not see any Mark burner accounts start popping up here.
Oh, my goodness. This is okay. Are we getting into that? Do we want to talk about burner accounts, or do you want to talk about? Do we need to highlight? Like, should we go through the playoffs, the finals thing? What happened in the Stanley Cup?
Let's talk about some Stanley Cup. Let's first talk about banking. ATB.com/listens. Head over there. You can find out if you just won the Stanley Cup, or if your name is Mark and you just won a great prize. It's not money, but if your name is Mark and you win prizes, maybe you did win money. You should go to atb.com/listens and let them know, hey, I just came into a large sum of money from my bracket pool skills. I want to invest it. atb.com/listens. They'll be able to help you out. Stanley Cup.
6 games? How many games was it? 5 games?
That was 5 games. And it was, I think, for everyone which was everyone, for literally everyone in the world who said Vegas was going to be terrible, all it took was the entire year for them to look bad.
They looked really bad in the finals. I thought they were going to show up more. Did you think they were going to show up more?
I did, yeah. But what they did was relied, as we saw Marc-Andre Fleury stand on his head through the first part of the playoffs and then, like, fall on his head through the Stanley Cup finals. He was average at best. I don't think there was many, like, big blunders, but there was also not a game-saving save or multiple. And Braden Holtby on the other side had all of those. So from, like, the very simplistic side of it, that doesn't help.
Holtby didn't look great. He looked good enough, which is exactly what you need. Like, he was good enough, but he didn't look, like, amazing.
He didn't steal any games, but when you're putting up 4 or 5 goals a game, you don't need your goalie to do that because you're not really getting that much pressure.
Exactly. Like, that was the thing. Like, it was kind of, I don't know what it was, but it was like, apparently, like, Ovi was just he must have just gone to the guys like, this is like our last chance. If we choke this away and don't win, we're never making the playoffs again. And so they just stepped on it and it was over.
It was Ovi, yeah.
He was good.
He was good. He obviously winner of the Conn Smythe. I said last week on the show that my vote would have been for Braden Holtby. By the end of it, I'm not upset that Ovi won it. Ovi, Holtby, Kuznetsov, one of those.
It was not Holtby. Come on now. He didn't even start the playoffs.
That's exactly part of the point. Like,
no.
They were not making it to the playoffs to the Cup with Philip Grubauer.
What was his goals against average in the finals? It couldn't have been that good.
In the finals?
Yeah.
I'll pull it up here.
They didn't win in spite of Holtby, but he didn't win it for them.
They won with Holtby. Like, over the entire playoffs, he had a .922 save percentage. In the last 5 games, I'm just pulling up the old split stats on hockeyreference.com. In the last 5 games against Vegas, he gave up 3, 5, 6, 8, and 13. 13 goals in 5 games. One of those came in the 5-4 loss in game number 1. Yeah, it was a 6-4 loss.
But he only gave up 5 goals. One was an empty netter. So, I don't know. I don't think he was that, like, obviously, he was good enough to win. I don't think he was the Conn Smythe. I would have gone over your Kuznetsov. Like, if it was a finals, like, and again, it's the whole playoffs, right? Like, it's not just just the final. So I think you had to give it to Ovi, though. Like, you kind of like, unless he had been really, really bad, you just had to give it to Ovi.
Yeah, and especially as like I think it was 50%, like the tiebreaker between him and Kuznetsov was just, it's Ovi.
It's like, yeah, exactly.
And especially the fact, like, if hindsight being 2020, the fact that we get this show from Ovi where he has the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup with him just everywhere he goes, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Okay, so here are the questions that we got to figure out. We have two teams. One finally slays the dragon, gets
41 years.
They finally get past whatever round that they couldn't get past, and then they win the cup. Ovi finally wins the cup. So what does Washington do next year? And then we also have to figure out, like, okay, the Knights exceed everyone's expectations by a ton, get to the finals in their very first year, are going to lose a handful of guys, have a bunch of assets that they can play around with, might be able to sign some guys. What do they do next year? Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with Washington because it's easier, right?
Okay.
Like, there's not a lot that Washington can do this year. They've got 4 defensemen under contract. Michael Kempney, John Carlson are the two that saw the most time who are going to be gone. Obviously, John Carlson, a big piece of what they did. Up front, no real barn burner pieces. Tom Wilson's an RFA. Devontae Smith-Pelly's an RFA. So not a lot on the front end is going to be changing for Washington. If they can convince John Carlson, hey, we just won a cup, come on back.
That's not happening.
That's the sales piece that they need to give him. But for, like, he's, in my books, the top defenseman available. So,
right? Does he get, like, did you see the numbers on OEL?
It was 8x8 for 8.82. 8.82. Okay.
8.25. 8 by 8.25. That was
okay.
or it might have been half. It was more than 8. He got a lot of money for
to stay in Arizona, which, you know what, it'd take a lot of money for me to stay in Arizona.
But for above average, but for sure not elite defenseman. Like, not top of the top.
Yeah,
Carlson,
he's a number 1 defenseman, though.
Oh, for sure, but he's not, like, I feel like that's a lot of money. So what? I guess so I bring that up because what does Carlson get?
I would say probably somewhere in the 7 range, 6, 7.
So you think if you got Carlson for 7 by 6, I think you're doing pretty okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So I believe according to this website called Cap Friendly,
heard of it?
OEL is now the second highest cap hit for defensemen.
With the highest being Subban?
Yep.
There you go.
Burns at 8, Subban at 9. OEL somewhere in between there. Hedman at 7.8. That's a lot of money for a guy that I wouldn't put in a Subban, Brett Burns, Victor Hedman conversation.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like, and the other, like, does Carlson get 10?
No.
Like,
but it's a chunk for sure.
But okay, so you're to tell me, so like, OEL is making 8.5 or 8.25, and you're gonna be like, and Carlson's gonna be there. Wait, you're only gonna offer me 9? The difference between OEL and Carlson is more than $750,000.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of, I think I'm just pulling up here to see what kind of hits the big guys got last year, and you look at Carl Alsner, got a terrible deal for the Habs, obviously. So he got 4.65. Shattenkirk got a 6.65. So that was a
for only
deal.
3 or for 4. So it wasn't like Carlson's probably going to get 7, right?
I would assume so. Yeah. So if you, I don't know, looking at other like the top of free agents, I'd say 7's fair. If he gets more than, I think you look at that and I would say, if I'm a team, I would be saying, look, you're not better than OEL. You're not getting more than him. So
7x7. That seems that's what I assume he gets signed for, is a 7x7. So Washington doesn't get him. I don't think Washington, my guess is Washington is going to have a massive hangover. I think they're
like an OB-sized hangover.
Like an OB-sized hangover. However much whatever Ovi is doing right now, like how he's going to feel after this like 2-week period, that's how the Caps are going to be next year. I think they're going to struggle next year.
I think they'll still obviously make the playoffs. Making a run is going to be harder though, because like they don't, and this is why last year I got off the bandwagon, because I was like, look, this team's not getting any younger, any better. Almost everyone on this team has peaked, right? Like not many players that I look at, I'm like, yeah, that guy's going to keep improving. So that's for sure what I look at for next year.
Yeah. Okay. So what about the Knights then? So you think I actually don't know if it's actually like, I wouldn't be. They're probably gonna make the playoffs. I wouldn't be shocked if Capitals don't make the playoffs.
The only reason they wouldn't is just that division's good, right?
Yeah.
Knights is like a complete and total wild card. As much as it was a wild card, knowing like how they would do. Oh, I don't think it was a wild card. We all thought they'd be terrible this year. But what they can and cannot do, like they can do almost anything they want. They could make a trade for Erik Karlsson. They could sign John Tavares. They have all the pieces that they want. They have the cap space. They have the flexibility that, again, we haven't seen any team have ever. And if you're looking at it from this angle, Marc-Andre Fleury has said he wants to spend the rest of his career in Vegas. 1 year left on his deal. You got to think what's going to happen there. Maybe they try to extend him if he's so sold on staying. Try to extend him, see what happens. But for me, I have literally no idea what Vegas is going to do this offseason, because they're playing with house money at this point. It's crazy.
I don't know what. There's no way that you can sit like. I don't know what to do with this team. Like, cause like you have no idea. You just have no idea. Like they're gonna lose. Like, my guess is they're going to try and re-sign James Neal. That's like, I would be a bit surprised to see a guy like Tavares there.
Sure. They can though, right? Like it's possible. They can make their plea.
Yeah, I just don't, I don't know. I just don't see him. I don't see him. I don't know. Maybe he goes there, but it just doesn't, that doesn't seem, I would be surprised. I actually think trading for Carlson, especially without an extension, would be like that actually may set you back quite further than, because they're set up to be decent the rest of the, like, going forward. They obviously were good this year. They have tons of assets just to get better, to get like to stay young, to but like they would have to give up a ton of assets to get Carlson.
Well, and yeah, for sure they would have to. Their youngness is actually like they are a team of 27-year-olds, right? Which like 27 to 29 is typically like peak NHL years. So these are a team of guys that, if they keep getting re-signed, are going to decline, obviously. They don't have that draft future. So I would look to them. They stockpiled on draft picks, right? They have, they traded a bunch for Thomas Tatar for some reason, but into next season, they have 2 first-rounders in 2019, 3 in 2020. I don't expect them to really get rid of those.
Yeah, it's weird because like everyone kind of like has an average age of like 27, 28 years old, but it's because they have like a bunch of 22-year-olds and then a bunch of 35-year-olds, and like Vegas is like, yeah, we have the same average of 27 because all of our guys are 27.
Yeah, we're all just the same age. So I have no idea what to expect from them. We'll see William Carlson get a deal. We'll see what else they do with the rest of their space because they have cap space to burn, which will be fun. We'll see what they do. I hope they do something interesting. But much like Oliver Ekman-Larsson staying in Arizona, the NHL business side of things continually less than entertaining.
Yeah, because and there's this free agency, like this class, like guys just don't get to free agency anymore.
Not at all. Like the fact that some of the biggest arguments and discussions out there are like, how much are the Leafs young guys going to get? Like, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about who's going where. It's how long and how much are these guys going to get to stay put?
Yeah, like it's so like a guy like OEL is not making it there. Like it's amazing that a guy like Tavares, well, he may not make it. Does this not have a Steven Stamkos written all over it?
It 100% does. Yeah.
He'll make it to the legal tampering week and then just sign with the Islanders during that week.
Yeah, it's 100% because everyone got all excited about Stamkos going somewhere and he stayed right there. Certainly, Tampa a better situation than the Island, but still, it's not that exciting. But July 1st. We'll still be looking and watching and seeing where everyone goes then. We asked for some mailbag questions this week. So we've got a number of those to get to. But you'd had some thoughts on the burner accounts.
If you don't know what we're talking about, then you don't. I don't even know how you're listening to us because I don't know how you found things because like the Brian Colangelo thing. Did this interest you? Like, did you
read? Incredibly interesting.
Like, this has probably been the most excited I've ever been about a news story that didn't involve like sports being played. Like, I just thought it was fascinating how, like, do you believe that it was his wife? Or do you? It was him, right? Like it's 100%. So the biggest question is, Carl, do you have a burner account? And actually, that's probably not the biggest question. The biggest question is, how many burner accounts do you have?
I have in the past. I have had other accounts, and I no longer use any of them. I think my biggest burner account is probably the fourth line.
Is that even a burner? Everyone knows it's you, though. And
I think at this point, it's only like the average person who's like, is this Carl or Joel? And I just chuckle.
And we just laugh at them. Yeah, this is because like...
Did you still have your burner account?
No, I don't. I don't want to talk about that. Let's not talk about my burner account.
But you had one. We'll leave it at that. Joel did have one.
I did have one, and summer. And I had like a not even like a 30-second. I got retweeted by, was this Sid and Coop? Is that their names?
Tim and Sid,
whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, you had one frantic afternoon.
I had one frantic account as a burner account. Yeah, that was great. It wasn't a burner, it was a parody account. Right? Would that be the difference?
Yeah.
Because burner accounts are just like, you don't try and, you like, because it's like...
You leave the Twitter egg up, and
you try, like, you communicate what you want to communicate, but you can't do it through your official account, so you do it through other means. So this got me thinking about... Brian Burke probably has 12 burner accounts that none of us know about, right?
Oh, yeah. If anyone is... See, I oscillate, because I think for sure if there's anyone that would, it's him. But I also think like he's pretty old man crotchety, so he might just be like, I don't do the social media.
So this
but
is
I would not put it past him.
This is my hot take of the day. Because I don't think Steve Simmons is not. That must be a Brian Burke burner account. Like that's like no one's seen Steve Simmons in person ever. Mm-hmm. He just loves like the hockey guy. Just I'm pretty like it's got to be right. Like that one's the most obvious one. Because I was trying to think. I was like, which like NHL guys? Because I just assume that every GM now has burner accounts, like because it's got to be right.
I think a lot of celebrity or like especially even like the big journalists, like I wouldn't put it past like Friedman and those guys to have a secondary account that they even just like use to follow things, right? Like,
right. So I was trying to think of like which ones would be like. Which GMs or coaches or like NHL players have like the best burner accounts, and Burke was my go-to.
Yeah, that's a solid burner account choice right there.
Because he's like he's so angry, but he doesn't quite say like he somewhat says what he's thinking. But like if you've ever like listened to him on an interview where he doesn't want to be talking to the person, he doesn't say anything, but yet he probably has things that he wants to say. So what better place to do that than on some random Twitter account about just slamming Phil Kessel?
Yeah, for sure. So, well, like his Twitter is the most sterile Twitter account ever. Like nothing exciting happens on Brian Burke's Twitter.
So, and I know, so this is like the crazy amusing part of like burner accounts, social media. Like, I don't know if we really want to talk about this.
Wait, before we move on to a more serious conversation, Brian Burke's Twitter profile is exactly what I hoped Brian Burke's Twitter profile would be. It is truculent hockey executive, dad, and proud supporter of inclusion in sports. I'm glad that he's self-aware enough to put that in there.
So he has the word truculence.
That is the first word in his Twitter profile. Yes.
But he doesn't even have he doesn't even have the blue check. Do we know it's him?
He does follow 6 people and have 155,000 followers. The 6 people he follows is a very unique collection of people.
He is so angry in his picture.
Yes. So it's his 2 children. You Can Play, which his son had a big part in and he's a big supporter of. His former employer, the Calgary Flames. Some guy named Jeff Smith.
Who is Jeff Smith?
Jeff Smith is a Boston Marathon winner.
Okay.
And Corey Hirsch. Those are the 6 people that Brian Burke follows on Twitter.
I am lost for words right now. I don't even know.
I always enjoy when I see a celebrity and they follow like 5, 6, 10, 20. I'm always like, who are, or one. Who's that one person that you've decided to bless with your follow?
I don't know. So
anyway, there's a dark side to the burner accounts, and we saw that come out today. And I don't think there's any real conversation around it. Like our standard thing of don't be a jerk applies.
Yeah, and I have no idea. There's no way to know where the truth is in any of this, right? Like,
yeah, if you haven't seen, we're talking about the rumors that Mike Hoffman's fiance had burner accounts that she was using to harass Eric Stahl and his wife.
Eric Carlson.
Eric Stahl would be a very different situation.
Yeah.
Like a confusing one. Yeah, Eric Carlson with burner accounts across all social media platforms.
Yeah, so it's amazing how you can go from So like even like the Brian Colangelo thing, like it's very interesting. It's almost amusing, but yet he actually did use some of those accounts, or his wife allegedly used some of those accounts to like rip on guys and talk about guys failing physicals and like actually like potentially ruin a guy's career. And where like I don't know where the truth lies in this Ottawa Senators thing, but there's a good chance that regardless of where the truth is, this is probably not good for the locker room in Ottawa.
No, for sure. Because there's, I would assume either, and I have no reason to believe that the Carlsons would entirely fabricate this story. There's truth somewhere in this. To whatever degree, there's a reason that they believe that this person has done that, right? So from the locker room side, yeah, there's a lack of trust between even the two of them, and most likely there's going to be sides.
And I wonder, I can't imagine anyone takes, if it comes out that this is in fact Mike Hoffman and his girlfriend, there's only going to be one side to be taken though.
Oh, for sure.
Like, so, but the biggest thing is that I don't even know. I don't even know how this is going to affect a locker room. I find it it'll be interesting to see how this affects I don't know if I want to use the word interesting because it makes it seem like I'm enjoying this, which is not what I'm doing. But I'm
curious. Yeah.
I'm curious about how that's going to affect the Ottawa Senators. If both of those guys end up on the team next year, how is that going to affect? Because like, there's a difference between not liking somebody and then telling the spouse of one of your teammates that you hope their child dies. Like, so like you have taken it to a completely different level. Like there's a difference between not liking someone and still playing to it, to literally be like saying things that no one should ever say or think because it just really makes you a terrible person. And so like that's going to be tough. I don't know if I could play on, like I would have a very difficult time working with someone who said that to my wife. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to play with that person.
Well, and we see in a time when apparently Slava Voinov is getting a contract from an NHL team this offseason. They're welcoming him into a locker room. What kind of locker room would want to bring someone known like that in, right? Like that becomes another situation of, well, if Ottawa wants to get rid of him at this point, how easy is that going to be?
I don't know. It's just, it's crazy in how this affect, like, on how you think it's going to affect, like, because what does it say about you as a team if you willingly trade for Mike Hoffman and it comes out that this is true? Like, that's, I don't know how you justify that to your team.
Yeah, to say that we support, and again, we don't know how much he had a role in it, if this is them, but it's non-zero for sure. That's
the thing. This is all, we said this. It's circumstantial. We don't know what's actually happened. I'm talking from a perspective of saying, if it does come out that he was involved and it is true and it actually was, or however little he was involved, even if he knew about it, whether he was involved or not. Like, I think like Erik Karlsson, if he was getting traded like there was talk of him getting traded before, if this comes out that this is true, he's getting traded for sure, because I would,
like, demanding a trade
and demanding it, because like I am not going to play for an organization that is going to allow someone to sit 10 feet away from me that did that to me and my spouse.
Well, and the other side of what the Senators are allowing to happen in their organization with some of their staff allegedly as well, right? So the Sens are a disaster of a team right now.
Anyways,
not looking good.
Yeah, well, I hope. Actually, I don't know what I hope for. I hope that whoever is doing this just stops being a complete jerk. That's what I hope for, because I don't.
That's a good thing to pick.
Because, like, I don't know, like, I don't want, like, because, like, it's like, well, I hope it's not Mike Hoffman. Well, but it's still someone's doing it. So I just hope for it to stop and leave them alone. They've gone through enough. Like, it's just.
Yeah, it's not good. Anything else you want to talk to, or should we get to some mailbaggy questions?
I think we can get to some mailbag stuff.
All right, let's start with a question near and dear to my heart. This one came in actually after the show started, and I want to get to it before I forget. This comes in from Nick. He sent in two questions. He sent in a few questions. We might not get to all of them. But the first question is thoughts on nougat. I, personally, one of my favorite chocolate bar, candy bar, however you want to describe it, is the Charleston Chew, which has a big nougat component. I love me some nougat. Joel, where do you sit on the matter?
I don't know if I've ever really thought about it. Like, I'll eat a chocolate bar that has nougat in it, but I won't, like, go out of my way to have nougat or to not have it. I'm indifferent. I'm okay with it.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it doesn't make things worse, and in the right place, it'll make it better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would say that I probably fall in the same regard as that. Like, I don't really go out of my way for it. Like, if something says there's nougat, I'm not like, ooh, gotta have that. Like, there's things like that. I'm like, I can't think of any right now. Like custard. I love custard.
I thought you were gonna say queso. I was like,
oh, well, we know. Yeah, if anything is queso, it's happening. So there we go. Thanks for that question.
I've never really thought about it. That's the biggest thing, is that I've never really thought about, like, how much I like nougat. I don't know. I've got to think about this.
Yeah, ponder that. Maybe let us know if you think about it. All these questions came in on our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast. If you have more questions, it's the summer. We have some time. If you have some questions throughout the summer, let us know. Hit us up. We'll try to answer them on the show. Scott has a question about the Anaheim Ducks. And this is something that I started thinking about it on the way home from work, because I was thinking about some of these questions. He says, "What do the Ducks?"
You got the questions beforehand. I don't get any. I just gotta, like, spur of the moment respond to these things.
That's okay. You're great on your toes, so it's fine.
Okay.
His question is, what do the Ducks do about Kesler and Perry? So Ryan Kesler apparently might not play at all or very little this year.
Injured, or?
Yeah, continual injury problems. Corey Perry just getting worse. So for me, like, with these guys, this is what happens, and there's going to be a lot more teams that we see having this. This is what happens when you give old guys big money for a long time.
Yeah. The Kesler thing, if he's injured, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, you just put him on long-term IR, and you
can't buy him out if he's injured. I don't believe.
No, and the Ducks are not typically a cap team, right? They're an internal cap team, so it does hurt them from that regard. Because if you're an internal cap team, you cannot eat $7 million of salary. Now, if he is in the realm of Nathan Horton or now David Clarkson, then you could trade him to a team that has the ability to eat that, right? The Leafs have cleared up a lot of Robidas Island. You could put Ryan Kesler there. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but
they can't, because of all those young guys and bonuses and stuff like that. They're trying to get out of their long-term IR stuff. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't think the problem with this is that he makes his cap hit.
Right.
So you're not like trading him for a year at 7 and then a year at 5 and a year at 3. Like, for salary wise.
Yeah.
He makes his cap hit every year. He's gonna go long-term IR, and that's just the way it's gonna be.
Yeah. And I don't think there's any way that you're getting out. Corey Perry's only got 3 years left on his deal. You're not really getting out or trying to get out from that. It's just the simple fact of him having, progressively down years. Only 49 points last year, 53 the year before. I look at it and that's what happens when you have a 33-year-old with a cap hit of 8.5.
There's nothing you can do about these guys. Like, same thing with Getzlaf. Like he is what he is at this point.
And honestly, with many teams, you're lucky that you've been able to ride it this long. Like the Ducks have been contenders for a while with these guys as their core. And when that's the case, the Blackhawks are experienced it this year. You're going to have a downtime. It's going to happen when the guys that you put your money, trust, and hope into stop being good.
Well, and because you're not a cap team, you're not like, yeah, you don't want to be paying Corey Perry that much money, but it doesn't matter. Like it's not a bad, he's still an NHLer. He's still going to contribute, just not as well as he was in the past.
Yeah, he's not going to put up 80, 90 points. You just have to accept that that's the case.
So yeah, not a whole lot. They're going to do nothing. Okay. That was the longest way to say that.
Yes. Ken asks a question just to me, but you can give your thoughts on it. He heard someone give him what he describes as a solid case for John Tavares to go to the Avalanche. On a scale of Andrew Raycroft to Patrick Waugh, how would that make me feel? And I feel like if there was a way to go beyond Patrick Waugh, I would be Ovi about it. I would be somewhere on a scale from Waugh to Ovi, because we have to have a new scale for this. I would probably be Patrick Waugh trying to fight Bruce Boudreau. That's where I would be in that scale. I'd be that fired up.
Yeah.
Because I'd be on cloud 9, 100%. Again, is there a chance? Yeah, the Avs have cap space. They can sign, but they're not going to.
Is there a chance? Yeah. No, there's no chance. There's a 0% chance that Tavares goes to the Avalanche.
Yeah. Let's stick with one more question, somewhat related to that last one. And this comes in from someone with, all we know is the name G Snow. He wouldn't tell us who it is. But G Snow asked the question, how do Bergevin and Chiarelli manage to keep their jobs asking for a friend? That's G Snow asking that question.
Nobody knows. Literally nobody knows.
Yeah, it's quite the miracle, but they do.
When Bergevin gives Jack Johnson $6 million per year for the next 4 years.
I believe that has to be his agent putting that out. Did he hire Chris Russell's agent from a few years ago when this was the Chris Russell shtick of he's getting all this money to the Leafs, and then it comes around and he's like, I guess I'll just sign a 1-year deal somewhere. And then the year after he screwed the Oilers over, but that's a different story.
Bob McKenzie, you just need to pack it in, man. Because that's where the rumor's coming from. So if he's believing that rumor, oh man,
it is interesting. I wonder, as outsiders on the big hockey media landscape, what percentage of information that these guys get do you think they actually run with?
Oh, very little. Less than 10.
Oh yeah, I was putting it at that as well. Because you have to, if it's me, I'm getting multiple sources on these things because I don't want to look like an idiot.
And this is one that Bob McKenzie should have got multiple sources on and then still been like, no.
It shouldn't have been Jack Johnson, Jack Johnson's agent, and Jack Johnson's sister. That shouldn't be the case.
I just couldn't believe it when I saw that today. I laughed pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. Next
question. We got more questions? Is that it?
We do. This is a classic question from a friend of the show, Joe. He wants to know who is most likely to receive an offer sheet this season.
Stop it. I'm not answering this, but nobody. That's who. I am. I am literally the most likely NHL player to receive an offer sheet.
You're not wrong. That's a fact. I don't know. No one's going to get an offer sheet. That's what's terrible about this. I want it to so bad. Not as bad as Joe does. Joe, on a scale of Watt to Ovi, Joe would be borderline Ovi if someone signed an offer sheet.
Because, yeah, it's not happening. Zero.
We had a conversation this week looking back to the last time. There have been a few offer sheets. I believe the last one signed was Ryan O'Reilly by the Flames.
Who would have lost him immediately and the draft picks.
Yeah. So I wish that had happened. But what I also, going back, the last guy who wasn't matched, Dustin Penner with the Oilers.
Yeah, don't sign
2007. It's been 11 years since someone didn't get matched on an offer sheet. And I don't think anyone who's like the Avalanche with O'Reilly's 2-year, they wanted him back anyways. It just let them have it. Shea Weber with the Flyers. Sure, it's an expensive deal, but they still wanted Shea Weber. The situation that was posed to me, if you look back, to sign a guy to the max term is 4 first-round draft picks.
It's like more than $9 million or something like that. Right?
Yeah. So if you were to look at, and like most of the guys in the league are under $9 million. So if you look at that and you say, okay, for almost any player in the league, is there anyone that you would trade your last 4 first-round draft picks for? I forget who it was on Twitter. This is not a unique thought, but it's like, and don't just like think about it hypothetically, like first round draft picks are really affordable. Go back and look at the last 4 players your team picked in the first round and figure out who you would trade those for in the league. Like for you, Joel, it's not happening probably, right?
Matthews, Nylander, Liljegren, Marner. Those are your 4. Those are our last 4 first round draft picks. Pretty sure, there's literally nobody in the league I would trade those for one person.
Like, you would not trade those for Connor McDavid.
No.
And I borderline, yeah, I would probably agree with you on that one.
I'm glad that it's probably.
So, for the Avs, it's Cale Makar, Tyson Jost, Mikko Rantanen, Connor Bleakley. Connor Bleakley, pretty much out of the league. Mikko Rantanen, good. Tyson Jost, probably going to be a serviceable player. And Cale Makar, good, but who knows? He hasn't even left college yet. There's a number of players that I would trade those for. That's
the thing. It depends on where you are. It depends on who you are. You asked this question of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who haven't drafted, they've drafted so in the 30s or whatever every year for the last 18 years. So obviously they're not, they would do it in a heartbeat, but lottery teams aren't going to do it. So
yeah, it's weird actually to think that the teams that should be offer sheeting are the teams that are already good.
Yeah, exactly.
And the teams that could benefit from it the most certainly should not do that.
So, all right, what do we got next?
Next up is, and we've touched on this a little bit. I'll skip that. It was a question about, it was just like an open-ended question about salary cap and things like that. Maybe we'll get to, he wants some ideas on how it works. There's a lot that goes into it. And also not a lot. I think the most complicated thing is probably how long-term IR works. But Cap Friendly does a pretty good job of describing that. All right. This is a question that I think will be very difficult for you to answer in particular, Joel. And even I'm not sure my answers to it. We'll go with one reason. He asked for 3. We'll go with one reason. What is the number 1 reason that you would give someone who stopped watching hockey 10 years ago to start watching hockey again? So 10 years ago, 2008, they decided, I'm done with hockey. What would be the number 1 reason? Because I look at it, I'm like, well, you stopped watching it once. What was it about it that made you not want to watch it again? Because you knew it, right?
With an impending lockout in a year and a half?
Yeah.
Or a year? Or whatever. Is it after this season the CBA is up?
No, it's 2022. It's a few years away still. But still. it's tough because like I can understand if you've never watched hockey, why I would describe to you to start watching it. It's fast, it's physical. I would describe it as it's a very unique game. Like it's similar. It has elements similar to other sports, but like there's no other sport that like a team sport that's played on ice, on skates, where like, there's hitting in the NFL, but it's very different type of hitting in the NHL. It's like a confined boundaries, which doesn't happen in any other sport, like arena football, but I'm not using that as a case for anything. So, but for someone who knows all that already.
I don't know how I would answer that question because it's not like basically the answer right now is Ovi. Like you missed the like craziest bender of a lifetime after a Stanley Cup win. So if you don't want to miss that again.
But that's not even like you can follow that on Twitter. Like
it's true.
The finals and even the playoffs this year, I watched them and I enjoyed it only because I was enjoying watching the Capitals succeed. But the finals weren't that great. The playoffs in themselves
weren't that great.
As you pointed out last time, no overtime. Like everyone loves them some playoff overtime. 10 games in the entire playoffs.
And no like crazy long ones.
Yeah, I think one went to double. Like so there was just a lot of things that that didn't there was not even that many, not a ton of game sevens. There just wasn't much drama. So let's see. Thoughts on let's do one more question here. Thoughts on the Flyers. Are they trending up or down?
Neither.
That's kind of what I think too. They're like they are. There's guys on that team that are trending down, like Jacob Voracek. There's guys on that team trending up, like Nolan Patrick. They always need help with goaltending, but Carter Hart might be good.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. They were a playoff team. They will be in contention for one again next year.
Yeah, like you're not sad, but you're not super excited.
No. High sticking. One thing that stood out, if we say that the playoffs weren't that exciting, trying to get people to predict game-winning goals in the final was impossible. It was only 5 games. You had very limited chances, but only one person actually picked the game-winning goal scorer. And that game-winning goal was scored by Devontae Smith-Pelly.
That was crazy.
So the fact that someone actually picked Devontae Smith-Pelly and he scored, I almost want to just give it to Mike, who picked that. But we are going to do a random draw. So Joel, there are 12 high sticking points handed out in the playoffs to a total of 10 different people. Mike has 3 points. Everyone else is tied for second place with 1 in the hardest round of high sticking ever. Give me a number between 1 and 12.
Like including 1 or 12? So like including 0 and 13.
So no, 1.
Between 0 and 13.
1 to 12. There we go. Is that the right wording that I want?
Yeah, no between.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna go with 3.
3. That is Mr. Joe Martini.
There you go.
So congrats to Joe.
There you go, Joe. Let us know where we can find you.
Let us know where we can find you. Joel's extra happy he didn't fully answer your question now.
It's true.
Yeah. So if you want to find us on the social media, you can at all the places. Twitter. But High Sticking's done for the summer, and we have not decided what it's going to be yet. But I'm 95% sure that this is the last time that game-winning goal high sticking is going to be played. It's time for something fresh.
Yeah. We haven't. Yeah, we got to figure that out.
We have months to figure it out. No need to rush into that. It's fine. The Alberta Podcast Network, obviously you all know that we are a part of them, but they want to find out about your podcast listening habits. If you head to albertapodcastnetwork.com/survey, it's a very short survey. It'll take you 5 minutes at most. Really appreciate if you head over there, fill it out, let them know that you listen to us, say really nice things about the Fourth Line podcast. You can tell us all the things. If you want to fill it out and say nice things about us, we'd really appreciate that. If you want to say nice things about other shows you've listened to on the network, we'd appreciate that too. AlbertaPodcastNetwork.com/survey is where you go for that. Any last thoughts on this start of the off season?
I don't think so. I'm hoping there's a couple of trades. I'm looking forward to Tavares signing.
There should be some action.
It's going to be a slow off season, though.
It's going to be. I guess a little housekeeping note. We will be still going weekly through the summer, is the plan at this point. Our shows that we do with Tiny Mike, they will be happening still once a month, moving into the Monday slot. So those usually would happen like midweek. Yeah. Those are going out Monday, Tuesday, start of the week. You'll get that in place of a fourth line. You will get the special episodes with Tiny Mike. And we've got some news to talk about when he's on the show. Let's try to see if we can get that happening next week.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure we're on for next week for that. So
yeah, so we've got quite the things to talk about over there, and
because that'll be the week in between the draft, right? Because the draft will happen after that, I believe.
Yeah, so the NHL draft is happening on.
The second or something like that, I thought.
That's not what I want at all. 22nd. So that'll be next.
Look, I know things.
Next Friday. Yeah, next Friday. So, it's my 22nd is a big day for me, Joel. It's my last day of work.
There you go.
So,
and the draft.
And
so much stuff.
Also, Jurassic World 2 comes out that day. So, pretty big fan of the old dinosaur movies. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Should be back with line next week, unless there's some sort of thing there. Joel's shaking his head.
Yeah, I don't know. We just need to go. We should go. Right. It's over.
Fourthlinepodcast.com. Head over there. Great pieces on the Chicago Blackhawks, Carolina Hurricanes. Lots of great writing content. If you want to find out where to subscribe to the show, you can do it there. Hey, give us a review. If you don't want to do that survey, just go to iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts and say, these guys are handsome. Listen to them. Facebook, we're on the Facebook. We're everywhere.
Boom City.